Hi everyone, welcome. Today we're joined by Varoshn Pillay, inspirational coach, executive leadership mentor, and the creator of Conscious Wellbeing South Africa. His mission is to help people unlock their potential by combining conscious living, mindfulness, meditation, and practical coaching to build healthier minds, stronger relationships, and more purposeful lives. In today's conversation, we'll discover what inspired the creation of Conscious Wellbeing South Africa, explore the principles behind conscious well-being, and learn practical tools that anyone can use to reduce stress, find clarity, and create lasting personal transformation. This promises to be an insightful and inspiring discussion. So sit back, enjoy the conversation, and let's welcome Varoshn today. How are you, Varoshn?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Exciting things in the pipeline. I started a Conscious Wellbeing podcast. Got to have some incredible interviews so far. And there's a few more episodes coming on. And tomorrow I'm going to interview Claudel von Eck. So yeah, exciting stuff and insightful as well. And we get to delve into leadership, well-being, artificial intelligence. Those are the key three topics that we discuss, and I'm enjoying it. I'm loving the new world we're in.
Awesome. Varoshn, what inspired you to create Conscious Wellbeing South Africa, and what was the vision you hoped to bring people through the channel?
I think we have a misconception around what is conscious, what is consciousness. And in my own transformational journey, you think you awake and you're talking, and that's conscious. And it's an aspect or level of consciousness that we experience in right now. But there's deeper levels of consciousness that you can experience. And once you go through a transformational journey or a spiritual journey, you get to experience different dimensions of your mind, different dimensions of emotion, different dimensions of your physical aspects. And I found it exciting and insightful that, you're not taught about these aspects in school, in university, and that is not conscious. Going to school, learning a subject, accounting, maths, marketing, MBA, that's just an external functional intelligence that we're using. It's not internal intelligence that we think exists. Why is our blood flowing? Why is our heart pumping on its own? Why is our neurological interface working and sparking and doing all of these different things? And people just say, no, it's just the body and this is what it does. But there's an intelligence behind there that's automatic, divine, spiritual, that we can say. And this is where I delve into, how do we tap into that? How do we tap into these different consciousness aspects that exist? And I found that exciting. And through my own experience, my transformational journey, and the tools and techniques that I've learned, this is what I express and this is what I'm teaching.
Fascinating. The name Conscious Wellbeing South Africa is both unique and meaningful. What does conscious well-being mean to you, and how can people apply it in their everyday lives?
For me, we have, I would say, four main divisions of ourselves, right? And we have our physical well-being, mental well-being, emotional well-being, and there's energy well-being. But we only speak about the first three, and really people only work on the one, which is the physical. They speak about it. They want to exercise. You want to go to the gym. You want to eat healthy. And I say probably 80 to 90% of us work on our physical dimension, assuming and thinking that it's going to help us mentally and emotionally. And today, society and research is telling you, and science is telling you, that no, physical health doesn't mean that mental health and emotional health is going to occur within us, And with society changing, technology moving in such a rapid rate, the pressures of being in relationships, in being in jobs, we're finding that, having the work environment. You can meet toxic people today. I think 2 decades ago, nobody really spoke about these things and said, oh, the environment that you're in actually impacts your well-being. It impacts your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your emotional well-being. And you never really know about these things. So in conscious well-being, we're looking at the holistic well-being of a human being. And I also touch into your energy, and we discuss that as well, because fundamentally we are energy beings and we transmit energy. By us talking now, there's sound, there's vibration, you listening, it's a deeper aspect of what energy is as well. And we look at that there in terms of helping individuals understand that at deeper levels, not just a surface level.
Awesome. Your channel covers topics that inspire personal growth and self-awareness. Which video or message has had the biggest impact on your audience, and why do you think it resonated so deeply?
When I had one of my guests on, Rashad Ahmed, and we discussed artificial intelligence, and we compared artificial intelligence to human intelligence. Yeah, society today is very, unsettled by what's happening maybe with artificial intelligence. People are concerned about their jobs. People are concerned what is going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. But the reality is we haven't really looked at our human intelligence and what is the difference. And we should start looking into our internal intelligence much more. Emotional intelligence, we speak about feelings, emotion, intimacy, things that allow us or teach us what it is to be more human, not to be less human and think that, oh, my thinking now is going to an AI. I can just plug in a prompt or tell an agent to do something and that's going to get done. But by doing those things, you're actually moving away from our humanness. And our humanness is more important to us than anything else right now. And we need to start engaging with it more to find out who we are. It's important and significant in today's society to figure out who we are. It's not so easy for many, but it is a question when you got to ask, who am I? What am I? What is this? And I think we give ourselves these simple answers. I'm Varoshn Pillay. I'm married. I have 3 kids. I have a house and a car. And I'm a CFO. And I'm a life coach. And I'm a business coach. And I'm a podcast founder. And you're just doing an external thing with yourself. You're not really going into what is this, what is happening within me, what is my thoughts, what is my emotions, what is spirituality, what is consciousness, what is liberation, things like that. We only know about financial liberation or financial well-being, but we don't know anything else. We think that once we get financially well, everything else in our life is going to get sorted out. And we're finding out today that science is proving that's incorrect. The business people that are financially free are suffering. And, that's the reality of it. We need to look deeper within ourselves to understand ourselves.
That's so insightful. With so much information available online about well-being and personal development, how do you ensure that the content on conscious well-being South Africa remains practical, authentic, and transformative?
There is, the buzzwords are like well-being and conscious and awareness and, but nobody really knows what those are. You're just saying a word, and to be honest, all words are made up. And if you never realize that, every single word that exists today is made up. And when you say this is a dog, you're going to the dog in terms of just a surface level look at it. You don't know what is happening. Does the dog have emotion? Does it have other aspects or attributes to it? It does feel, it does understand. So we just lost our humanness in terms of where we are going. And I think we need to get back to that stage of finding out who we are, what it is to be human being, what it is to be a being, and to get to that point of seeking. I think it's truly seeking and transforming yourself to be more than what you think you are. And we're not thought, which is just a small aspect of us. You're not this physical body, which is just a small aspect of us. But to say that, many people think, no, it's just something that's been said. But there's deeper understanding behind that. And I think that we so consumed by what society has pushed onto us and given us these conditions that we should be like this is what we should chase: money, marriage, kids. And I think there's so much more out there. There's so much more to understanding being, consciousness, that's what I decided to do and teach.
If someone discovers Conscious Wellbeing South Africa for the very first time, which 3 videos or topics would you recommend they watch first, and what lessons can they expect to gain?
It depends on what they want and what they're looking for. Conscious well-being is, I said, we're looking at different dimensions of ourselves, mental, physical, emotional, energy. And the guests that I'm bringing on have their specific attributes. My personal is leadership, artificial intelligence, well-being. So whatever they're looking for, that they're struggling with, the problems that they are facing, that content will be there to resonate with them. And if it impacts them where they want to seek help, seek understanding, understand something more better in terms of whichever well-being, maybe they're having negative thoughts, maybe they're going through a bad relationship, maybe their leadership or executive style is being questioned, maybe they want to scale their business as well. I've got so many different aspects because it's so significant in being conscious. We want to have a business, but maybe we don't know how to scale it. We want to have a business, but we don't know how to manage people. You want to be conscious, and you want to do different aspects in terms of your company. You want to be conscious, and you want to have a good relationship with your spouse and with your kids. And we see in society today, people, once there's an argument, you don't speak to them for 3 months or 3 years. And then you think that that's the correct way to face things in life. And this is the way I should handle it. And maybe there's other solutions out there, and not the solution that you thinking is the best. And that's why you're facing these internal issues of thinking, oh, did I do this right? Why am I still not flourishing? Why am I still not flowing in life? Why am I still not manifesting the life I want to create? And I think that's where people are hindering, and they don't know where to go. And this is why I created the Conscious Wellbeing South Africa as a company. It's to help people in different aspects of their life to become more conscious in it and become more competent. Like today, you're going to go and ask a girl out, and somebody will tell you, no, you need to be confident. You need to have confidence. But you don't even know anything about the girl or competence of a woman. You don't know how to speak to somebody. You don't know communication skills. That's competence. If you know how to communicate, then your confidence is going to be an automatic.
Yeah.
So, that's where the reality is. People, we are not competent over what we are doing today. And we think that we are, and we're thinking that confidence is going to replace everything of us, making us more joyful and happy, and it doesn't. It's actually competence.
Before I get to my final question, are you okay if I give you a comment question? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. This is from Maya Swarma and Rap. Okay. Hi, Varoshn. In today's world, mental balance is prevalent. How does one cope with supply and demand?
In today's world, mental imbalance is prevalent. How does one cope with supply and demand? First thing I thought of was like, is it a business question? Supply and demand, supply and demand. Sorry, I know there's mental imbalance in the world, but you've got to look at what's happening internally. It's not about supply and demand, what's out there. That has nothing to do with what's happening to you within yourself. And if you think that there's supply and demand, you're looking at it as a transaction. There's a transaction. If I do this for you, you're going to give me something. And that's how your mind is working as well. The first thing is to remove the transactions away. You're thinking that if I do something, I'm going to get something in return. If I do this, I'm going to get a reward. And that's the first thing we need to step away from. If you're going to do something, do it out of the goodness of your heart, do it out of the kindness of your heart, do it out of the love that you have for expressing yourself. And I think mental imbalance comes when we're looking at what's a transaction. What do I get out of it? And that's where negativity actually starts, is if I don't get something out of it, then that person is to blame. That person is the cause of my problems. And and when we're looking at it in society today, first you need to go within yourself to understand why you're thinking like that, why your thoughts are like that there, and move away from blame, comparison. We have this complex mind where it's being accustomed to our parents' thinking. Then we have friends, and we have family, then you have education. So your thinking is actually not your own thinking. It's the accumulation of all the thinking that you've experienced from the time you're born. And that's why there's a negative or mental imbalance that you're looking at, is because you're so concerned about what other people are thinking or what other people think of you, that there's that imbalance and negativity. So there's tools and techniques so that one can look at within themselves. And that's where you need to start. It's not about the supply and demand of what's happening out there. It's to look internally.
That's really fascinating. Lastly, looking ahead, what exciting content, new initiatives, or collaborations can viewers expect from Conscious Wellbeing South Africa, and what is your long-term vision for the channel?
So we have great guests coming on board. So discuss leadership, as I said. We noticed that in the executives, CEOs, there is the imbalance of mental imbalance that you discuss. And we're doing seminars, events around it there. We'll start projecting that more forward in October, November. I've got a seminar coming up, The Power of Reflection, which is, November and December. How do we look at what's happened to us in the last year? If you're looking at it, everybody wants to start a new year fresh, but to start New Year's fresh, you need to reflect. Reflect on your past, reflect on your past behaviors, patterns, what you've gone through, why the year has not worked out for you. What haven't you done correctly? What can be done correctly? And then in the following year, in January, February, then you're going to speak about the power of realization, the power of moving forward, the resilience part of it. How do you change? People need to reflect as well as have the resilience to realization as well. And this is the courses and the seminars that I'm bringing through. It will be for executives, CEOs, individuals that are facing mental imbalance, emotion. They want to understand themselves better. They want to learn about themselves in a more in-depth way. They want better relationships with their kids, with their spouses, with their bosses. It's not gonna just happen all of a sudden. I know that being Hindu, people think that prayer, rituals, it is a small aspect of changing your life. If you don't lift your little finger up, nothing is going to occur in your life. And that's what I'm promoting, is that, learn to lift your little finger to do something that helps yourself, helps you consciously, so that you become more competent over life. And you learn to love life more. You learn to enjoy life. That's what you're here for. You're not here to pay. There's pain and suffering, but there's also the aspect where there's joy and happiness and contentment and becoming competent over ourselves. And this is what I'm teaching.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Siddharth. Always a pleasure.
Most welcome.